Hello, my name is Cheryl Erickson and I'm the Indigenous focused ECE instructor with Louis Riel Vocational College. Today's video will summarize Chapter 6 of Early Learning and Childcare Overview. Please ensure that you are reading Chapter 6 as this video is not a replacement for your daily chapter readings. Chapter 6 of Early Learning and Childcare Overview talks about different childcare programs in Canada, Europe, United States. So we're going to explore and discuss some of the different types of programs that are around where we live. So there has been a demand for quality early childhood programs. The reason for the demands is the public wants high quality programs for our children. We want to see children have opportunities for education and to be successful. We want to ensure that we're incorporating literacy into our curriculum and that children are ready for school and will be successful in the next process of their education. Early learning environments are developed to be adaptive to the child and their needs, as well as to promote the national good. We want to ensure that children are successful as when they are successful early in education, in the start of their education throughout life, it usually means that they'll be successful as they enter the workforce as adults. So we would call that a return on investment. So we have a few different models of childcare programs that we're going to look at. The programs that we're going to talk about today are the Montessori, the High Scope, Reggio Emilia, and a project approach. So we'll take a few minutes and we'll look at each of these individual types of programs. There are similarities and there are differences within each of these types of programs. So looking at Montessori, and the Montessori approach comes from the theorist Maria Montessori, and we discussed that a little bit in our Chapter 5 video. Maria Montessori came from a medical background and developed a program to work with disabled, cognitive and physically disabled adults in Europe. And so her program really focuses around how capable children are in learning. And so children can be independent learners if we're providing good experiences in an enriched environment. Again, children are very capable, they can be very independent, and Maria Montessori believed that there were sensitive periods in children's development when they were able to cognitively digest information and learn certain types of skills during those sensitive periods. So part of her approach works on observing children and being aware of when those sensitive periods are and providing those materials and experiences. So Maria Montessori and her program really offers a lot of its structure, and it has specific learning centers where children can independently go and experience those materials. So she has 3 different types of areas of focus in her approach. And the first one is practical life. So things like mixing and measuring would be the practical part of life experiences, as well as sensory materials for training the senses. So when you think about sensory materials in your senses would be things that would be around touch, taste, smell, sight. So materials within that. And we recognize that children all learn differently in their processes, and some children learn more through their senses, through touch and feel. And so it's promoting that type of learning, as well as the academic side of learning. So the reading and the writing and the arithmetic or mathematics, which are really important skills for school readiness. So Maria's approach, again, is focusing on how capable children are in their learning processes, and with the right materials in the right environment, a structured environment, that everything has a specific place for, so children always know where they can go to get the materials that they want to utilize, is really important to being successful and also being independent. And so children are actively involved, have freedom of choice within their learning environment. Another few of the approaches to Maria Montessori's approach, or her philosophy, is that the structure of the environment and the types of materials that are chosen for the children to utilize make the children the center of learning. They encourage children to learn. Staff will sit back and evaluate the children on how they're using the materials, what maybe their interests are, and where maybe children need a little bit more guidance. The learning environment is always prepared, which is a really important thing for success in the structure of the program. So some children need more structure than other children. So those children that really thrive on structure, the learning environment is always set, ready to go, and everything has a specific place for it. It is also an environment that promotes respect for the children. So children are encouraged to share, but it's also respected that if a child is utilizing something and they want to use it and play independently, that is respected and appreciated by all. There's another approach, and it's called high scope, and it's more of a constructive type of curriculum. And when I say constructive, it's, again, children interact within their environment, and they manipulate different types of materials and mediums, and within that they develop some critical thinking skills and construct their own learning. And so not only does this help them cognitively, but it helps them with their social skills as well, as they're interacting with other children. So this form of I guess theory or approach is based on Vygotsky and Piaget's theories. So the high scope program is more common in the United States. I don't really know of any high scope curriculum programs in Manitoba. We have many Montessori programs, but high scope isn't something that I'm aware of currently. And so they have a specific curriculum, and within that specific curriculum, they follow a daily schedule of routines. And that routine becomes very important to the children and how they learn. There's many activities, time for outdoor play, structured learning times throughout the day. And again, the children are the source are the main focus of that, and it focuses on that independent learning. Children have the ability to choose in that environment what materials they want to play with. There's a variety of materials and equipment provided, and it's an inviting, open environment that's going to attract children, encourage children to want to manipulate and be involved in different activities. So I did mention that the daily routine is very important. It's very predictable. Children need predictability. It's important for them to know what's coming next, especially if you're a child that has a disability or maybe anxiety or uncertainty about the day and worries about what's coming next. They actually can relate, when I arrive, we have snack, and after snack, we go play outside, and after outdoor play, it's lunch, and after lunch, it's nap. And children relate those experiences, and that's really how they learn to tell the time of day. And it also, in their program, it really minimizes the transitions. And so we do want to minimize those transitions with children and offer them more uninterrupted free play, because it's in that uninterrupted free play time that children tend to be more successful and there's more learning involved. The Reggio Emilia approach is an approach that comes from or a theory rather, that comes from Europe, and in particular Italy. So the Reggio Emilia approach is something that not only begins in the preschool, at the preschool age, it also extends, the approach extends into the school. And so children, again, are the center of learning. Its focus is that children are active conductors of their own knowledge. And again, it does extend to school. Some of the focuses of those programs are respect for children, building relationships. Social skills is very important in child development, and in defining what's appropriate, how to act socially, and where your place is within that environment. It also includes a lot of manipulatives of art and construction and modeling, inventing, and discovery. The approach is very important as far as time and allowing the children, again, to have as much free play, uninterrupted time, and in that uninterrupted time, us as adults or teachers or instructors aren't stopping them from doing something that they're really interested and involved in. We allow their experiences to continue, and we hope that they'll gain further knowledge from that. The Reggio Emilia environment is beautiful. And because of the climate, often you'll see Reggio Emilia programs that incorporate indoor space with the outdoor space. So children can freely move in and out into the playground, which will consist of fruit trees and flowers and different types of mediums, sand, water, mud to manipulate. It's almost like taking the indoors outside. There'll be, it'll allow for measuring and mixing and being creative, as well as climbing, jumping, skipping, those types of larger muscle types of activities. The program encourages cooperation for the children, and as staff in this environment, they are continually documenting the children's experiences, and children are participating in activities, or another term for that would be projects. And so these projects might not finish in an hour or a day. It may extend to a week. And projects are often documented by the Reggio Emilia instructors, and those projects are posted in pictures throughout the center for children to see the process, and also for the parents as well. So the project, moving forward, there is another system involved or theory or approach, and it is actually a project approach, which is very familiar to the projects that they may do in a Reggio Emilia program. So a project approach really involves the critical thinking of children and opportunities for children to really investigate in individual investigation or in small groups with an adult as a facilitator. And the key to this is to spark thought and process as well. So where children are manipulating certain materials, maybe they'll have questions or they'll be doing some type of process. And as the adult facilitator comes into the picture, they can ask the child some questions. They can pose questions like, what do you think would happen when? Which would spark the child to do some thinking and then maybe physically try that and then see what happens. So you're constantly posing questions and children are trying different things to see what happens in the end, and that will foster that learning. The project approach also integrates language arts. So you're always looking back, I guess, at what's happened in the past and maybe how you can build on that and those experiences. You're investigating topics and you're sharing those projects with others. So you're writing about them, you're documenting them with photos. Depending on the age of the child, there could be a writing station within your environment. And that children are actually sitting down and writing a post about it, how they felt about doing the project, or what experiences they gained about the project and what they would want to do the next time that they may revisit that. So the project approach is more for children that have the skills to read and write, more than on the preschool side of it. So within these approaches, how do you accommodate children who are diverse learners? And I think in every approach, you have to look at how you can adapt your environment so that children that have different understandings or learn in different ways can participate. So appropriate practices for each of these specific programs would be developed. A huge thing would be that each of these programs would have to have a room within their environment to accommodate a child who had some type of physical disability. Using universal design, collaborating with other professionals who could assist you maybe with learning more about the disability, or maybe sharing experiences of working with children in the same type of approach and how they've adapted it. So some networking and just communicating with colleagues to make all children have the opportunity, or allow all children to have the opportunity to be successful in each of these learning environments. So that concludes the video presentation for Chapter 6 of Early Learning and Childcare Overview. I do encourage you to approach your instructor if you have any questions regarding the content of this video, and also just to check in to ensure that you haven't missed any class handouts or assignments pertaining to this chapter.